Hi, I'm Slade Rain. This is episode 3 of Issues in America. Today we'll be discussing socialism. Now let's get into it. Well, the first thing that we have to ask when talking about socialism is, what is socialism? The textbook definition of socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Or, according to Marxist theory, it's a transitional social state between capitalism and communism, or basically a lower level of communism itself. Socialism is based on the ideas of collectivism in the government. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels used the words socialism and communism interchangeably, so it was difficult to tell when they were talking about one or the other. However, as I've stated before, socialism was thought of as a transition period or a lower level of Marxist communism. Accordingly, the individual producer receives back from society, after the deductions have been made, exactly what he gives to it. What he has given to it is his individual quantum of labor. So you take exactly what you get. That's directly from the founder of communism or socialism, Karl Marx. Let's discuss capitalism versus socialism or communism. We'll discuss all three separately. Capitalism, private ownership of the means of production and also individual economic freedom. There is free competition without interference from the government, and it's based on the laws of supply and demand. On the contrary, socialism is putting the major means of production in the hands of the people, either directly or through the government. It's also based on the idea that wealth and income should be shared equally among the people, and the main goal of socialism is to narrow, but not completely eliminate, the gap between the rich and the poor. Therefore, socialism encourages that there not be competition from an economic standpoint. They rather encourage cooperation. In a socialist government, there is a lack of private ownership and common control within the government systems. Now let's discuss communism. Again, these two terms, socialism and communism, are somewhat interchanged, but there is a slight difference. Communism is based on the principles of correcting the wrongs of capitalism. That was Karl Marx's idea in its true form. There is no private ownership of property or business allowed. Property should be shared. The people should ultimately control the economy. The goal of communism is to completely eliminate the gap between the rich and the poor and make everyone equal. Let's go through some of the technically socialist countries. I should also add that there are not really any truly 100% socialist countries. More so countries influenced by socialism, with a democracy, with a dictatorship, etc. The Republic of India is often considered a socialist republic. Tanzania, the Portuguese Republic, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. So that's obviously a conglomeration of several types of government. The former Soviet Union is another example of a socialist government. They transitioned from capitalist to socialist until 1991 and are probably now considered more communist. Cuba is another example of a socialist government, although it's often considered communist. Its economy is state-run and it lacks a stock exchange. Healthcare and education are all run and managed by the government. You have North Korea as a socialist or a communist state. China has elements of socialism. Venezuela's government provides a myriad of social programs and socialist policies as well. Is Canada socialist? And technically, no. It's a social democracy, or a democracy with socialist influence. They're a capitalist multi-party state with socialist policies to improve their quality of life. So it's sort of a blend of socialism and capitalism when it comes to their economy. They have very generous welfare programs. That's an obvious desire of socialist policies. They do have universal health care. They have a little bit higher practical tax rate. Theirs is 28% compared to the United States 18%, which is typical in socialist economies. As for the things that make Canada not so socialist, they do have multi-party elections, meaning that the leadership can change every couple years, allowing for differences in policies. Canada is still a free market economic system. The state only controls 35% of the market compared to a desired 80% in a socialist government. Canada does still have some private sector business, and Canada does not have free education. Last but not least, pure socialism has failed in every single attempt. But socialist influenced governments have succeeded in some areas, as I have laid out in this video. I hope to provide you with the facts on socialism, communism, and capitalism, as well as the socialist political theory, and allow you to make your own decision on whether you support or do not support it. Thank you again for tuning in to Issues in America, and stay tuned.